What is your favorite sex scene in the Bible? The one when David's son Absalom overthrown him with a coup, and to symbolize his dominance decided to F every one of David's concubines on the roof of his house, so that all Jerusalem could watch him. I had to scroll so far for this, but yes, this one. I do wonder how those concubines lived the rest of their lives though. Not sure if the entirety of Song of Songs counts, but if it does, that one. There's not too many good sex scenes to pick from since it's usually only mentioned when someone does something wrong. All the good, mutually fulfilling sex in the Bible was probably just recorded as he knew his wife and she begat a son. Whenever the text stops to dwell on it, it's because someone's raping his sister or something. Yay, pretty much. It tends to be very respectful when things are loving and normal. Tends to be very graphic when a horrible sexual act occurred. That one where David cuts off and skins 200 dicks. Worst side quest ever. So when do we get Bible the game? I'd happily play an RPG based on the Bible. You get different skins for Jesus. It'll be a hoot. It'd be crap. Just think of all the tedious fetch quests. Find me 2 of every animal. I'm going to play as Lot. New objective, have sex with your daughters. I guess I'll just play Peggle. The fact David gathered twice the amount he was asked to bring makes this even better. A normal person would be like, alright, that's all of them, let's go back and get this stupid ass fetch quest over with. But not David. He cuts off 100 foreskins then goes, you know what? This is fun, let's keep going. The king was probably horrified. David was just grinding out some more XP so he could level up when he handed in the foreskin fetch quest. It's like doing every other thing possible in Skyrim before actually doing the main quest. Last I knew, about 70 levels ago, there's a dragon still attacking a guard tower near Whiterun. He gave David his reward, then later tried to put David down himself. Of course, this greatly confused David. Maybe the real reward was the dicks we skinned along the way. I just want to be a good citizen and maybe F the king's son, maybe. The foreskins were traded for the king's daughter, who thought David was a pretty big deal. A sack of rotting dead men's foreskins just baking in the Middle Eastern heat for a day or few. That's got to be a stink you get up your nose, and it lingers there for a week after the source has been removed. Does the king receive that personally, or does he send out an unlucky servant to accept it in his name and then surreptitiously rush it straight onto the burn pile? The way it's written, David literally counted them out in front of Saul. The worst/best part was that Saul asked for 100 dick skins in an attempt to get David killed, or in my opinion grossed out till he just went away. As a side note, it was after the dick skinning incident that Saul decided he needed to kill David himself. 123, 124, 125. K, I believe you, WTF? I'm not done yet. 126, 127. Jonathan, David, what the F? You weren't actually supposed to do that, he just wanted you to F off David, what? Jonathan, he says that is the long form of F off. Last week I asked him to pass the bread and he said he would do it for 100 dick skins. David, I'm going to get 100 more. Teach him to be a smartass. Old Testament God, F, I love this little giant slaying psychopath. Your navel is perfectly formed like a goblet filled with mixed wine. Between your thighs lies a mound of wheat bordered with lilies. Your breasts are like 2 fawns, twin fawns of a gazelle. Song of Songs 7:2-3. Yup. That whole book is what we in the fanfiction biz call a lemon scene. What is a lemon scene? Web link. Can be used as a noun and an adjective interchangeably. It's a lemon story and it's a lemon are functionally equivalent. Those fond of lemons refer to it as lemony goodness. Oh wow. The intro to just get even more nuanced and funnier. Edit. Huh. Could have sworn they used the words lemony goodness. They do say lemony lemons, but not quite the same. Web link. Hey, what the F? Web link. I don't get how boobs can look like baby gazelles, like what? Edit. Thanks for the wholesome award. I do not deserve it even slightly, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And when you hold them, they're like two bags of sand. Bags of sand. What are you talking about? Hold on a minute. Are you a virgin? Why you always telling me to go F a goat man? Soft and cute. Lost in translation? That said, gazelle are easily the sexiest herd animal. I see you've watched Zootopia, too. I remember as a child when I got my first real Bible and I started looking through the list of books in it. I saw Song of Songs and I'd never heard of this book in all of the church and Sunday school I'd sat through. I thought they had added a new book and that it must be very important if they added a book, so I decided to read it. Genesis 6 describes fallen angels finding the daughters of mankind to be beautiful, so they took whomever they pleased and had offspring with them, who were the Nephilim, historically translated as giants, the mighty men of old. Genesis 6:1-4. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, 2. The sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. 3. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, his days shall be 120 years. 4. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Big S edit. In order to save me a lot of replying to one comment at a time claiming that the sons of God don't refer to angels, I'll just share where I get this inference. You can decide for yourself if it is reasonable in light of the following. The term sons of God shows up and elsewhere in the Bible, and you can see from its usage and the context where it appears that this term seems to refer to angels and other heavenly beings. Satan himself was among the sons of God. Ezekiel 28 contains whose story sounds like that of Satan, addressed as the king of Tyre. Take a look. I think it is fair to say that cherubim were angels, but it depends on how technical your definition is. Furthermore, Peter and Jude from the New Testament seem to interpret Genesis 6:1-4 as being about fallen angels, 2 Peter 2:4-5. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell, the Greek term here is Tartarus, not Hades, and is the only occurrence of the term, and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. 5. If he did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness, with 7 others, when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly. Peter goes on to list instances of notable sin from Genesis in the order they appear. This suggests that his mention of angels sinning right before he mentions the flood and Noah is a mention of this instance at the beginning of Genesis 6. Jude 1:6-7. And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. 7. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, serve as an example by undergoing a punishment of eternal fire. Here, Jude speaks about angels kept in chains until judgment day, just as Sodom etc., which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire. Inferring from how Jude seems to be referring to this passage, and how he and Peter refer to these as angels whom God has chained in darkness as they await their judgment, I'm calling them fallen angels. Web link. The Nephilim were apparently pretty awful neighbors. They'd eat everything in sight, to the point where the humans couldn't afford to keep them fed. So they started eating humans too to keep their caloric intake up. Edit. Found the verse, in a research paper of all places, so yeah, they started to eat people. And each other. I shudder to imagine what kind of sin one could commit against fish. Web link. Bro, do you even have to ask? Obviously microwaving it is the worst sin dealing with fish. Especially in an office break room. Hey, so that's where the Diablo series gets its lore from. Oh, you'd be surprised by how many games, movies, etc. got their lore from the Bible. Read the Book of Enoch. Instead of a passing reference, it details the time before the flood. Crazy times. And a lot more detail with regards to the gigantic debauchery. The Book of Enoch is so wild I couldn't believe it was even real the first time I read it. It's like straight up just about aliens effing with people in Earth. Which is a big part of why it's non-canon, expanded universe, Bible Legends content. It's not my favorite because of the sex, but because of the revenge. In Genesis 34, this woman named Dinah is hanging out when this dude going by sees her and rapes her. He is some prince or something and infatuated by her, so he and his father go to her father begging to marry her. Her father, Jacob, hears this and is like, she can't marry him, you all are not Jewish, but I guess I could be convinced if you and your kingdom's men were circumcised. So father and son are super pumped and go and get circumcised along with all the men of the kingdom. While they are still in pain from the procedure, Dinah's brothers go in and slaughter them. Edit, Jacob not Joseph. Edit 2, brothers not brother. Also, when dad finds out what 2 of his sons have done, he's terrified. Everyone is going to hate us, and we could be driven away. But everyone is like, 2 of that guy's sons wiped out an entire town, imagine what all 12 of his sons could do? And they all feared the guy. If you like this story, you should read The Red Tent. It's a different take on that chapter. The Red Tent is a great book. Not sure it counts as a sex scene, but there's a verse where some women reminisce about some men who are hung like horses and come like donkeys. Ezekiel 23:20. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses. She lusted after lovers with genitals as large as a donkey's and emissions like those of a horse. Never realized Donkey Dong Doug was a biblical character. Wait, so Donkey Doug is your father? Jason is my son. But he's also my boy. Oh, tip. So nice they had to say it twice? Yes, sir, met a girl with this tattooed on her. Whoa. God was graphically describing how Israel whored itself to its neighbors and then missed being a whore when they stopped. Ezekiel 23:2-4. Son of man, once there were 2 sisters who were daughters of the same mother. They became prostitutes in Egypt. Even as young girls, they allowed men to fondle their breasts. The older girl was named Oholah, and her sister was Aholibah. I married them, and they bore me sons and daughters. I am speaking of Samaria and Jerusalem, for Oholah is Samaria and Aholibah is Jerusalem. Edit, I see this has gotten a lot of attention. I should add some context. God revealed himself to Israel in a way, he claimed, and that he had never done before to any people group. In the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel you can see God talk about his relationship with the nation like one would talk about a lover they have married. It's an intimate, intense love. Then when Israel turns to other gods in idolatry, he is absolutely wounded and angry. For generations he warns them what will happen if they don't stop, and they didn't listen. They keep going right back to the same awful sins. Including others like social injustice and corruption, he sent the Babylonians in to wipe them out in the most vicious one-sided war, except for a small remnant of faithful to survive. God showed them his heart and was genuinely hurt when they turned away like a married man whose wife became a whore. Wow, the Bible doesn't have much interest in playing with the metaphor. Why even use substitute names if you're just going to call them out directly in 2 sentences? For the best-selling book of all time, the writing is a bit weak. Chuck is such a hack writer. How hard do donkeys come? Enough to satisfy a dragon. I'm a believer. Not in my swamp. Jamie, pull that up. No, really. There's a video of a donkey blowing himself and coming. I cannot tell you how scared I was to open Reddit, look at responses to my comment about donkey ejaculate, and see my own name written there. That one where the 2 sisters get the dad drunk. Their mother is still salty about it. You're underselling it a bit. They got him drunk, and proceeded to start a whole country from their offspring. And this was right after he offered them and his wife to be raped by the village people. Raped by the village people. Young man. Musical notes, there's no need to rape girls, musical notes. It's your classical biblical story. You have 2 angels stay over at your house, your town wants to kill them, and so you offer your virgin daughters instead because you don't want to be rude. But the town is still like, nah, we want to know your guests, and the angels get angry and burn down the entire town while your wife turns to salt. Then your daughters with some serious daddy issues get you drunk and rape you for 2 nights. Family values. I think the town wanted to F the guests. 'Tis a classic sort of story with a moral in its tale, just a little portion gory and a smidgen coffin nail, just a tiny horror tribal, and a little incest too, but I tell you, it's the Bible. That's what Bible people do. But I was told it was fun to stay at the YMCA. Why would they lie? You misunderstand. It's fun for them when you stay at the YMCA. Young man, there's no need to feel down. I keep imagining the village people singing YMCA while approaching these girls. I was a kid when I read this part and it honestly got me to put the Bible down. Next week at church I had a lot of questions. Questions they did not like. I didn't go back because of this lol. Genesis 19:30-36. Well, that's a story to say the least. Edit, hyperlinked for the lazy, 4 minutes, web link. Reading the Old Testament as an adult is a trip. That was a whole lot of trouble. You spoil the child if you spare the rod. Web link. I didn't think they meant that rod. Excuse me, what the F? Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.